Hello.
Hi, Antonella. How are you?
Fine.
We have Martina. Martina's just coming in.
Okay, right. Let me wear the headphones. Just a minute.
Great, great. Oh, hello, Martina.
Good evening.
Hello. Hello,
Nice
Martina.
to see you.
So you already know each other, right?
Well, I saw you, Martina, in the Zoom lesson, and here's Rosa. Rosa's coming in.
Okay. Okay. So shall I record, Anthony?
I'm doing it. I'm doing it automatically.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No problem. Yeah, I just wanted to be sure. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Rosa.
Hi. How are you? And here comes Rachele and Giulio. Okay, lovely. How nice.
Maybe it's coming another student who didn't take part in the project. Is it a problem for you?
Absolutely no problem at all. No,
okay.
No. The more the merrier.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Great, great. And here's this Rachele. Oh yeah, hello.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
So
and
here
Giulio.
is Giulio.
Giulio's sitting.
Giulio.
Can you see Giulio?
Not yet.
He's in a cave.
Oh, he's coming.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, in a cave, right?
There he is.
Hi, Giulio.
Good morning.
Hello. Good afternoon. Yes.
Here comes.
Yes. Well, can you hear us well?
Yes.
Yes, because I cannot hear you very well. Probably it's my problem with my PC. Okay.
I don't know. Right. And Flavia is here, but we can't see you yet.
Yeah, she's coming.
Yeah.
Flavia.
Hi. Hi, teacher. Hi, professor.
Hi.
Hello.
Flavia, we cannot see you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what's the problem, Flavia?
I don't know.
I think that's working now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's working. It's working.
Hello. Right. Great. Nice to see all of your faces, because I saw your faces in the lesson on Zoom that you did with Professor Fiera. Yeah. But it's nice to see you.
Thank you.
Is my voice normal, or are you having problems with the sound?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Great,
yes, me too.
Great.
Yeah, me too.
Lovely.
Okay.
Okay.
So maybe another girl is missing. What about Adele? Is she coming?
Yes.
Will you please send her a message and tell her we are here? We're waiting for her.
Yes.
Okay. So just a minute, Anthony.
That's no problem at all.
Okay.
While we're waiting, please, if I speak too quickly, I know you're really good at listening, but you're not perfect yet. So if I say something and you don't understand, then help your colleagues, your fellow pupils, by asking me to repeat, or if there's something that is not very clear, because this is my first lesson with you. and I don't know if you will understand or not, even though you have a very good teacher.
Oh, thank you. because I was one of his students 30 years ago. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, yes. So long time has passed.
Yeah.
Long time has passed. Yeah.
Very good.
But you're still the same, Anthony.
I've just changed my hair color a little.
Oh, it's not a problem, that.
Great. Adele.
So Adele, all right.
So I want to just introduce you to another person who is here in the classroom with me.
Oh, lovely. Lovely.
Yeah,
What's his name?
Well, his name is Argo, but Argo, we haven't finished. We just begin. So you must wait. You must wait. Good boy. Good boy. All right. So where's Adele? Ah, there she is. Hello, Adele. Okay, good. Now go.
Does he want to say anything?
Okay. All right. Calm down. Well, I do a lot of lessons from my house. Normally, he's not so excited at the beginning.
It's our fault, isn't it?
Yeah. He gets excited at the end when he thinks the end,
Yeah.
and so he can go out.
Okay. Maybe just wants to say something. You know, he just wants to introduce himself.
Saying hello to you, okay? And they all. Okay. Go and wait on there, okay? And when I've finished, we will go. I've got a very good English teacher.
Thank you.
Argo is my dog is a very good English teacher.
Oh, really? Nice.
I take him to university in the winter, and he can stay in the car and wait for me. And my students at university wouldn't believe me that the work and walk are two different sounds. And I said, okay, you must come to the car with me, and I will open the car and I will say a phrase with work in it. And so I said to my dog, yes, I'm sorry, I have to work a little bit more.
So I stopped.
And just looked very bored. Okay, all right. And then when I said I can't say it now because he will get excited again. But when I said the word for this, he got very excited in front of the students, and so they believed me. They believed my dog. They didn't believe me. They just believed my dog. That there's a difference between walk and work. Okay. All right. And all right. No. Sorry, darling. Sorry. No.
No problem. No problem.
Okay, you go there, you wait there. When I've finished, I will come. Okay.
Okay, so good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. And welcome back to the project video conferencing on Shakespeare through Voicebook with Anthony Green, founder of voicebook.cloud. So we have the pleasure and honor to have Professor Green in person with us this afternoon. So welcome, Professor Green. So you have to know, my dear students, that Professor Green has worked at the University of Bari for over 30 years, and in that time specialized in the area of listening and pronunciation, so as to ensure that his students are able to communicate with the rest of the world as equals. So, Professor Green, these are my students, as you already know, from the school Leonardo da Vinci of Lanusei in Sardinia, Ogliastra, well, precisely. Well, they couldn't wait to meet you. So we are very pleased to have you here this afternoon to carry on the project we have already started. So thanks for joining us. Well, I hand over to you now, Professor Green. So
thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Okay, all right. Well, as you know, your teacher was one of my first students when we were both very young. And one of the things that I learned from your teacher is that English listening and English reading are two completely different things. And so, for example, in Italian, if you see a word, then more or less you can understand how to pronounce the word. Yes, there's not a big difference. But if you do the same thing in English, then terrible things happen. Yeah. And sometimes I tell my students not to read English because reading English is dangerous. But don't tell your teacher I said that. But because when we read English and we see a new word on the page, we have to work on the pronunciation. And in Italian, that's not necessary. But if you're intelligent students, then you look for the pronunciation of the words that you don't know, because otherwise you invent the pronunciation of the words, and then you go to speak to another person in another place and you use your invented pronunciation, and they look at you and they say, what are you saying?
Yeah.
And they say the word to you and you look at them and say, what? Recognize that, yeah? So, and in, so with the spelling in English is also quite complicated, because English is not one language. It's really three languages all put into one small container, but the container is not big enough, and so these bits of English come out, they stick out, and unfortunately we haven't got enough letters in the alphabet to make the individual sounds. Yeah. Do you know how many sounds there are in English?
At least 10, I guess.
At least 10. Okay, all right. Are you talking about vowel sounds or vowels and consonants? Okay, all right.
I cannot wrap my mind around these kind of things.
No, right, yeah. Let's start, and we will look at that. So, for example, in Italian, how many vowel sounds do you have?
5.
5. You have 5 vowels, but probably you have more than 5 vowel sounds because you have you have the e and the o aperta e chiusa, yeah? Do you use them in Sardinia? I don't. So you can do 5 vowel sounds, but also you have so-called diphthongs, where you have a, I, ow, and I know you use those in Sardinia. Yeah. So, and I think that the total, it depends on the region, but it's 10 to 12 different vowel sounds, yeah, in Italian. So that's quite a lot. And do you think there are more in English, more vowel sounds in English, or more vowel sounds in Italian?
In English.
English.
In English? You've got a good teacher, because when I ask my students at university, they say, oh, in Italian is a very complex language and everything. But yes, there are more. And there are 20 vowel sounds in English. And so for every one sound in Italian, there are probably 2 in English. And so for you, that's very complex. It's also complex for English-speaking people, because if you have 20 vowel sounds and only 5 vowels, it's difficult to combine them to make normal spelling. Yeah? And do you know what a spelling bee is? So like an insect, but it's a spelling bee.
It's a competition.
It's a competition, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And so you have a spelling bee in English-speaking countries. It's especially an American idea. But at school in Sardinia, do you have spelling in your classes now?
No.
Does a teacher teach spelling? No, because it's not necessary in Italian. When was the last time, how old were you when you had the last spelling lesson? 8, 9, something like that? Yeah?
Yeah.
Scuola elementare.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Kids of your age in English schools, they continue to have spelling tests. And they have spelling bees, big competitions where people can win a great holiday if they win the spelling bee, because English spelling is so difficult. And so if you see an English word on the page, you cannot know, and I cannot know. If I find a new word in on a page in English, or as a name, a surname, and I'm not really sure of the spelling, I have to ask, even though I've been learning English for 60 years and my English is very, very good. I cannot know the pronunciation, okay? And so voice books comes from this, because some people do too much reading and not enough listening. And some people do a lot of listening and they cannot do any reading. Normally with school kids, it's like this: too much reading and not enough listening. Yeah, and so we just want to bring them together so that in your brain, like in my brain, there is a connection between the word on the page and the spelling. And some people say to me, but if English has 20 vowel sounds, how many years does it take to learn 20 vowel sounds. And do you know what the answer is? How many years? How old do you have to be to use the 20 vowel sounds in English? Do you think that we have to go to school to learn these vowel sounds? Or we just learn them?
Just
I don't
learn
know.
them.
Just learn.
Maybe nothing like the sounds you might. Let's put it this way: those are 20 sounds. Okay, in context, inside a phrase, it might be a lot to learn, but those sounds might even kids can pronounce them and recognize them.
Right, yes. You're exactly right. And even when you're 2 years old, in English, you can distinguish all of those sounds. Are there two sounds which are particularly difficult for you in English that you always, you don't really hear the difference?
Yeah, they probably don't remember now, but
Yes.
they have some problems with some sounds. Yeah.
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 Yes.
Yeah. Okay. In the chat, can you read the chat if I write the chat? If I write
Yes.
if I write 2 words here.
Cold.
Okay. All right. And one of the questions that I ask is, are these homophones or are they slightly different pronunciation? Are they the same pronunciation, homophones, or are they slightly different? Allophone.
I think the second one is closed. Oh, I don't know how to say it in English. Cold. Yeah.
Cold. And you think the second one is what? Are they the same or different? You just say the same or different.
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 Does everybody agree with Rosa?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So your ears are better than. Do you know Google voice recognition that you can use on your phone, and you can dictate? Google has big problems with distinguishing cold and cold, cold and cold. And so if I dictate to my phone, Google doesn't always understand that. So your brain is better than the Google, all of Google. And a little child who is 2 years old can distinguish these two sounds after just 2 years. And Google have been developing this for 20 years, voice recognition. And they're not as good as the human brain. Okay. Can you imagine that you are 2 years old and that you live in an English-speaking country? And can you imagine some more words with the same vowel sound as cold? That you know, that you hear every day. So it's cold, so it's or.
Like hour and hours. No, hour and hour. Hora e nostro.
Okay, yeah. That's an interesting one because if we have time, let me talk about it. When you have been doing voice books, if you have found this word "our," how is it pronounced? Is it pronounced "our" in the voice book that you hear?
No.
Sorry, I didn't. Okay. Words in English have often two pronunciations, a strong pronunciation and a weak pronunciation. And the strong pronunciation of this word is "our," and it's exactly the same as 60 minutes. 60 minutes is an hour. This is a lesson. Okay, it's the same sound. But if I speak normal English and I use the word "our" as in nostro, yeah, and I say, are you enjoying our lesson? How did I pronounce that? Are you enjoying our lesson?
As in one sound.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a bit like "are" the verb. Yeah, if you look in the chat. So "are" is the same as "are." Yeah, and this causes lots of problems with Italians. So I'll just explain about strong and weak. Have you studied this at school? Strong pronunciation and weak pronunciation?
No.
Okay. So let's start with Italian. I like doing this with Italian. Italian, the rhythm of Italian is very clear. You pronounce all of the syllables very clearly. Yeah. And so some syllables are slightly more pronounced than others. But the difference between a strong syllable and a weak syllable is not very great. Yeah? Is that true? When you speak Italian, normal Italian, not your local dialect. Maybe your local dialect is different. Okay. And so I like to say to my students that opera lirica, or opera, as we call it in English, it's not a coincidence that opera lirica was born in Italy, because in opera lirica you pronounce all of the syllables very clearly. Yeah. Otherwise, people don't understand. And do you associate opera lirica with English?
Not really.
With Italian, yeah? What type of music do you associate with English?
Rap.
What's that?
Rap.
Rap music, yeah, exactly. Rap music, rock music, these ones. And the rhythm is more toot, 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 toot. And so strong, there'll be strong syllables and then very weak syllables, and strong and weak, strong and weak. And the strong syllables are normally stronger than the opera lirica of Italian. Yeah? So the music is very different. And because the strong syllables are stronger, the weak syllables are weaker. And so sometimes my students say, but why don't you pronounce these syllables? Because they're just our weak syllables, yeah? But you who are Italian, you're used to syllables in this band here in the middle. And so yes, you can hear the strong syllables, because that's sort of like people shouting. But the weak syllables, for you, they're not language. They're just a little bit of noise that people make, because language is here, or maybe here. Yeah? But these things here, they're not what you use to communicate. And so that's one of the reasons why the weak syllables are very, very difficult for you to understand. So when we say, are you enjoying our lesson? Our lesson, it sounds like or are, and it's difficult to process the idea, to elaborate the idea. Okay, and strong and weak syllables is another reason why I created voice books, because I want people's ears to become to listen to the sounds that you cannot normally hear. Yeah. Okay. What were we talking about? Oh yeah. When you're 2 years old, and you have to hear the sound or. What words might you hear with or, like in cold? Or. Can you think of Right. When you're 2, you probably don't know that word, but you can probably put an M in front of the word and go.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Lovely. Can you think of a number?
3.
3, with not okay, but hasn't got that sound. 4, as Giulio said. Yeah, great, Giulio, you're doing a really good job today. Okay, so more and 4 have the same sound in them, but if you learn English from a book with no sound, you would say that 4 is like hour, but 4 is like more. Okay, all right. Any more words that that have or in them?
Score.
Score. Great. Okay. Great. And in fact, I think every word with O-R-E is an or sound. Okay. Any more words with or? Maybe with a different spelling? You can see one behind me.
Door.
Door, yeah. Great, yeah, okay. All right. And I will show you something, because he wants to be involved with this. What's this? You know what this part of his body is?
Great. Hey, Giulio.
I think, Giulio, you were saying it, were you? Core, yeah. Okay, great. And core, oops. Core is like that. Okay, yes, we can go over there. And you want to be involved again? Okay. And I can also say, poor. What am I saying if I say to him, poor? So the same sound. Okay, thank you. Over there. Maybe he has hurt his paw, and I'm saying poor.
Oh.
As in povera zampa, yeah? Right? And so, poor and poor are homophones, where they have the same sound and different spelling. And Italians just go, what is this? This is ridiculous. You cannot have language where if there's one sound, there's one spelling, and we say sorry. And so this is why we have spelling bees, because if you say to me, how do I spell poor? My answer is, I'm sorry, I don't know, because I don't know which poor you're saying. But also, do you know another poor?
Edgar Allan Poe, maybe.
No, that's
Okay.
different. No, okay. Do any of you drink tea or coffee?
Yes.
How do you put it into the cup?
Sugar.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
You pour it into the cup.
you pour it into the cup. Yeah, right. So pour is like that. So we have pour and pour and pour.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm afraid we have another pour with another spelling. And it's a part of your body. And if you didn't have this part of your body, you would get very, very hot in the summer. It's the same word in Italian, in fact. It's like that.
Okay.
And it's the pores in your skin. Yeah. So we have 4 words, which are quite common words, which have the same pronunciation and different spelling. And so, English is a completely mad language, and you're doing very well to be able to understand these all of these different words when you do the voice books. And 4 is in a way the same, because we have 4. We also have 4, which means like the front, so before, okay? And then we have this word here, F-O-R, okay, which has the strong pronunciation, which is 4, but normally we have the weak pronunciation, okay? So we're having our lesson for an hour, okay, where the pronunciation is just f, okay? And in Italian, f is not communication, but we say f, f, t, etc. And they are all words, and they're all weak pronunciation words, yeah? Okay, and so your Sardinian brain has to say, oh, wait, let me try to understand these sounds, okay? And again, that's why we created voice books, okay? And so we've got door and more and pour and pour. We've also got saw. What would saw be? Saw, saw.
S-O-U, no, S-O-R-R-E.
S-O-R-E, great. And saw, when do you have something that is saw? Maybe if you go out in the wind and in the rain, you come back and you have a sore throat. It's, yeah, great. Okay. And what's a homophone of sore? A word that you know very, very well, with a different spelling. Sore. maybe one of the girls can imagine saw. You're going to hate me. I'm going to write it. Or Giulio, do you want to say it? Do you want to try?
Soap. I don't know, soap.
And what is the meaning?
Sapone.
Soap. That would be soap. That would be that would be different. Okay. Saw is that.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
You've seen that word 100 times. Okay, so you can see that it's very possible to get confused with all of the sounds. Okay, and so please continue with doing the voice books until you don't need them anymore. Okay, and I will try to create some more for you as well. I know why he's getting very upset. It's because I'm laughing, and we're doing this lesson. So because you're not normally like that, are you? I'll just call my daughter, and I will see if she can take him. No. Francesca. Okay. No. No. Come on. Francesca. Okay. Go in there. Go in there. Right. I'm not going to laugh anymore. Then he can calm down and be happy. All right. Okay. All right. And so when you're 2, you know all of these little words like sore throat and for and poor and poor and poor. And when you go to school, they tell you that these words are all written in a different way. And people go, oh no, that's terrible. And especially people who have dyslexia, things like that. English spelling is incredibly difficult for them. So you're very lucky that you were born as Italians in some way. So, and then we have the O sound. We'll do this very quickly. So like go and show and know and grow, etc. And these sounds are difficult to distinguish for Google to understand the difference between cold and called, between what other words are there that are so similar? Oh, whatever. So, know, grow, blow, etc., etc. Yeah, and in Shakespeare, for example, we have his theatre. Yeah, what was his theatre called?
Globe.
The Globe. Yeah, right. Okay, and so it's with an O, like know, like show, like grow, etc. Yeah, and if you have to invent the name of the theatre, then you might say something like the Globe Theatre, because you don't really know how to pronounce. And glob, when you take some Nutella or some jam, and it's just a big glob. Before you put it on your toast or something like that, yeah. And so I don't think Shakespeare would want the Globe Theatre particularly. He'd prefer the Globe Theatre of the whole world, yeah. And because he was interested in the world, he was also interested in the theories of the universe. And the third voice book in the series is about Shakespeare's view of the universe. Would you like to do the voice book now during the lesson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who would like to share their screen?
Come on.
The first person to.
Flavia, would you like to start?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, right. But did I put the third Shakespeare voice book on in your class, or do I have to add it? You haven't done it yet, have you? I will put that in there now.
Okay.
I will add it to your. Right, let's go in here. You are all in the rappers class, are you?
I didn't hear you.
Are you all in the rappers class? I think so. Yes. Okay. All right.
Yes. They are in the rappers class. Yeah, they don't know the name I gave them. They don't know. So I called you the rappers, but they don't know that.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually, yes. So you do have it. You do have it there, and are we going to be able to use this now in the class? Though I'm a little bit worried about that. Okay, who was the first person to invent it? Let me try something. Let me try a little experiment. I will try to get rid of it for you, and then see if you can get it again. Give me a little bit of time. Okay, rid of that, and we will see. I've never done this with voice books before. Always something new to learn. Okay, let's add this in here, and let's do Shakespeare. And let's add this voice book there like that. Okay, and now maybe when you, if you go into your catalog, or if you just go into voicebook.cloud, you can find the Science of Shakespeare 3. Can you?
Yes.
Okay. And Flavia, are you the first volunteer?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
But,
Great.
where is Adele? Adele.
Oh, we missed Adele. We lost Adele.
Yes.
I'll send a message to her. Don't worry. Start, Flavia.
Okay.
And do you want to share your screen?
Yes, but it tells me how. Non so come dire.
What? What's the problem? What's the problem?
I can do the share screen.
Why?
I don't know why.
Okay, Rosa, will you please start?
Okay.
All right. So.
Sì.
Prof, it says that we can't, we participant, I don't know how to say it, we can't share the screen.
Okay.
No.
Oh, you can't share the screen, or you cannot do the voice book.
No, I can share the screen.
No, the share.
But everyone, did you try,
Yes.
Martina? Giulio?
Because it tells mm, Professor Green disabilitato, non so come.
Okay. I disabled it. Right.
Yes.
Let me see. Let me see if I can fix that. And Adele is coming back. Hello,
Yeah.
Adele. Right. There you are. Sorry, we lost you, and I didn't see you in the waiting room for a little while. Now, what can I do to change that? Manage the participants. I wonder if I can allow you to do this. So it's kind of publicly. I'm worried that this must have been one of the, maybe I can, here we are. Okay, I think, who can share? All participants who can start sharing when someone else is sharing.
Now I can share.
You can, great, great.
Yeah.
Thank you for teaching me that.
So,
Great, great. Okay, let's see if you can.
shall I start?
Yes, great, great.
Now, ideas traveled a lot more slowly in Shakespeare.
Okay, the way you wrote it, in fact, was correct in British English, and so that's probably the pronunciation that you've learned. You've got two helpers there, Rosa,
Yeah.
on your screen.
Can I listen it again?
As many times as you want, you know.
Thank you.
Ideas traveled a lot more slowly in
Leave that word if you want, but you were correct. You wrote it correctly for British English, but for American English there is only one L.
Oh.
Just to
traveled a lot
complicate.
more slowly in Shakespeare's day. Traveled a lot more slowly in Shakespeare's day than they do.
I forgot.
Shakespeare's day than they do now. But even so, the Copernican theory had a number of early supporters. Copernican theory had a number of early supporters in early supporters in England. It had a number of early supporters in England.
Okay. And I added this today, in fact. And so when you hear, but even so, these are three words which you know very well, but perhaps don't understand when they become an idiom. This is a classic of English, where we take different words and we put them together and they become an idiom, yeah? So the idea is that even though ideas traveled a lot more slowly, the Copernican theory had a number of early supporters in England. So even so is like the even though from in the second part of the sentence, yeah? Is that easy to understand? Does that help to understand?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, all right. And just these three little words, often they cause a lot of problems. And Rosa, could you click on approfondisci?
Yes.
Thank you. And so this is going into the Cambridge Dictionary, and so you can see. And it's my favorite dictionary for students of all levels. Even though this is true, even so, so that comes from the Cambridge Academic Content Dictionary, and you can understand why he says even so, because he's speaking about an academic subject. So thank you, Rosa, very much. That was very brave of you to be the first person. And Flavia, do you want to be the second person?
Okay.
All right.
Yes. Okay.
Now, ideas traveled a lot more slowly.
Oh, sorry. It was the first.
Don't you worry, Flavia. Lots for you to do.
What?
There is a lot for you to do in this phrase. A lot of words. Okay.
Okay.
Good. You start doing it, and I will just put my dog in the car very quickly. I've got my. No, he's okay now. He's calm again.
Thomas Diggs went even of them. A man named Thomas Diggs went even further than Copernicus.
Right. And this is what I was saying about surnames, which are so difficult.
Yes. Okay.
Is went even further than Copernicus by suggesting that the universe
No.
Copernicus by suggesting that the universe was infinite, that the stars might.
I don't know.
It's difficult, isn't it? Yeah. Copernicus he was from Poland, but they gave him a Latin name.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. No, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Okay, just replace the apostrophe with the last letter. You're doing great. Voice books are good for when you can't completely understand. So you're doing perfectly, because all of the time you are taking an idea, a hypothesis, and you are trying it out and seeing whether it works. And that is how little children learn languages, learn their own languages. So what you are doing is a perfect replica of what a young person learning English as their first language would do. So I like to see this, because I know it's not normally public. Normally you can do this in your own house. But it's nice to see that when you have a problem, it doesn't say, no, you're wrong. It tries to help you to get the correct spelling in this case. So you wrote Copernico, and then there was one more letter.
Oh, yes. Oh, is it correct?
Ask the system.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hooray!
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And I thought it was also very interesting. And another mistake that you made. And don't worry, I'm not really very interested in finding errors, because everyone makes mistakes. Because the word after Copernicus is a weak pronunciation. Yeah, and so it's not very clear at all. And you wrote but as you can see, it only has two letters, so it's not going to be but. Because the pronunciation is weak, you have to keep inventing that word, okay? And when you're listening, you are continuously inventing what the other person is saying, yeah? And with voice books, you can keep inventing. You can discover that your first idea was not correct. So you go back and you listen again and you go, oh yes, I understand now why my first idea was not great. Next time that I hear that sound, probably I will remember that I confused these two words, yeah? And so what you're doing here, what you're showing us, is that you're learning. And so that's great. That's great. I'm very grateful to you. I want to thank you because this is perfect. A perfect indication of what we're doing. Yeah. Do you want to carry on?
Yes.
Okay.
One of them, a man named Thomas Diggs.
Can I listen to it slowly, please?
Of course, yes.
Thank you.
And the others can help you.
Okay.
One of them, a man named Thomas Diggs, went even further than
Okay.
Copernicus. One of them, a man named Thomas Diggs, went even further than Copernicus by suggesting that the universe was infinite, that the stars might just keep on going and going. A man named Thomas Diggs went even further than Copernicus by suggesting that the universe
I know. What?
a man named Thomas Diggs went even further than Copernicus by suggesting that the universe was infinite. That the stars might just keep on going. And going forever. It's infinite. That the stars might just keep on going and going.
Why?
Going and going forever. One of them, a man named Thomas Diggs, went even further than Copernicus by suggesting that the universe was infinite, that the stars might just keep on going and going forever. Infinite, that the stars might just keep on going and going forever.
And I can understand the other words. So,
Don't worry. What you can click on the word before just, don't you, to see the meaning. If you click on the stars,
I'm sorry, but I can hear you very well.
Okay. If the others can hear me, you can click on the word after stars and before just, and it will tell you the meaning, or it will give you some help with that word. Great. If you click on it. There's a little window open. Great. So this is a modal verb, and you know there are not many modal verbs, and expresses a possibility. Listen again if you want.
By suggesting that the universe was infinite, that the stars might just keep on going.
And you can ask your friends as well.
That the stars might just...
What?
You can ask your friends as well. I think they want to help you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Who would Martina, you look as though you want to suggest a word.
Can I write it in the chat?
Yes, sure. Or say it, or whatever you prefer.
Well, I suppose it's...
Here we are.
I write it in the chat.
Lovely, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And Flavia, if you listen again, you can see if you can hear that word now.
One of them, a man named Thomas, did. One of them, a man named Thomas Diggs, went even... One of them, a man named Thomas...
Oh.
Great, great. Just 4 more words.
Diggs went even further. Went even further than Copernicus. Than Copernicus by suggesting that the universe was infinite. That the universe was infinite. That the went even further than Copernicus by suggesting that the...
No.
And Flavia, do you want to click on that word?
Okay.
Right.
And
great, great.
universe was infinite, even further than Copernicus, by suggesting that the universe was infinite.
Flavia, if you would like some help, before you wrote but for this word, but it's not but it's a similar sound to but, by. It starts with the same letter as but, and you hear the beginning of suggesting, and it sounds a bit like a t, And so he's saying by suggesting, by suggesting, by suggesting. And because it's the weak pronunciation, it's difficult to hear that. I'm sure everyone else would like to give you some help, so please use the chat to help Flavia.
Went even further. It means for.
Yes. Okay.
Can I just translate it in Italian?
I think so. Sometimes it's better. Yeah.
No.
Oh no.
Sarebbe.
A man named Thomas Diggs went even further than Copernicus by suggesting the universe was infinite, that the stars might just keep on going and going forever.
Okay.
Whoa! Wow! You deserve a lot of congratulations for doing that in public. And I know that when you do things in public in front of your teacher, you want everything to be perfect. But if your English were perfect already, we would have no job. So and you would not like English very much because you wouldn't learn anything and you would go to sleep. So don't. I know that you're a little bit embarrassed by that, but you are also very, very courageous, very brave to do that. So thank you. And the wonderful thing is that in the end, you can, if you listened to this normally, following a video, it would be very difficult to understand. But when you have completed the audio, you think, why did I find it so difficult? So shall we listen to this together again? Can you? It's on pause there, isn't it? Can you play it again, and we can listen, and you can probably see that the words which were difficult for you were not the words that you don't know, but the words that are pronounced in a weak way or in a way that you don't expect. And
I don't know if my pronunciation is correct.
Right.
Farther, no, I don't know. After Eden.
Right, yes. It's further. Further.
Further.
Further, yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. And in fact, when you're inventing pronunciation, you are, that combination is always okay? So you cannot make a mistake with you are or with I are, like in first, sir, okay? Fur, as in the hair of animals, for example. And of course that changes if there's an E on the end, so it becomes pure, but here there is not an E to worry about. Okay, Flavia, I think you cannot play the sound again, is that right? For some reason. It's not working there.
I don't know. Oh, okay.
Try going in and see if we can hear the sound again.
Oh my God. I can hear very well. I can, no. I can hear you very well.
Okay, you can't.
She's saying that she can hear you.
Yes, I'm getting a message. Your internet connection is unstable, so I'm sorry. Antonella, can you tell Flavia what I said?
Yeah, the professor said that he can see that your internet connection is not stable. It is unstable. Flavia,
Okay.
did you understand? All right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So sometimes you cannot hear me very well. Okay. And Flavia, can you play the sound of the? Can you share your screen and play the sound, or is it not possible?
No. Yes, it's possible.
Okay.
Okay.
One of them, a man named Thomas Diggs, went even further than Copernicus by suggesting that the universe was infinite, that the stars might just keep on going and going forever.
Okay. And when you hear this, at the end, you say to yourself, why couldn't I understand everything from the beginning? But
Yes.
not because you're bad, but because you have learned, because now you associate that sound with that word. And that is how everyone learned. That's how you learned Italian. That's how I learned English, etc., etc. So this is the best way to connect the sound and the writing. And English children have to connect the writing, the strange writing, with the sound that they know. And you, in a way, have to connect the strange sound with the word that you know. And so it's a similar procedure, but I'm very encouraged when I see someone like you, Flavia, who has difficulty with specific phrases, but in the end is if you continue and don't give up, you reach the end. It's like magic in a way, you know. So well done for persevering, and that was really great. Okay, let's see. Thank you. Does anyone else want to be a volunteer? Martina, would you like to be a volunteer? Yeah?
Okay.
Okay. Let's try the next.
Yes.
We don't know for certain what Shakespeare thought about that.
Just a second, my director. Ehi Domenico, sto facendo una lezione, ti posso richiamare? Va bene, ciao.
Shakespeare thought about that. About that idea. Thought about that idea. But one of his plays offer at least a may offer at least a tantalizing hint. Offer at least a tantalizing hint.
I don't know.
You don't know that word. Right, right.
I'll try, but I don't know if
This is
it's
great.
correct.
This is great. You can ask the meaning if you want.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
What does it say? Intriguing.
May offer at least a tantalizing hint.
Yeah. I'll try, but oh.
Wow.
There you
Lovely.
are. Yeah, I'm very impressed with that, Martina. That was great. Okay, and so if you now can you play the whole thing again?
Well, yeah.
So we can read it and hear it, because this is. I would encourage you to do this when you finish the phrase, so that you're.
We don't know for certain what Shakespeare thought about that idea, but one of his plays may offer at least a tantalizing hint.
And if you tried, did you hear my voice while it was while he was speaking? If you try to speak along with the speaker when you've completed the phrase, then your brain and your mouth can become coordinated, like your brain and your ear with listening, and then your brain and your mouth and your ear become coordinated. And then when you can produce the sound using the same rhythm, because there's this rhythm of a bit like rap, a bit like rock music, especially of strong, weak, 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 strong, weak, 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 strong, weak, weak, weak. Yeah. And if you can repeat that rhythm by shadowing, so you play and you repeat the sound as it's playing. So you're reading the text maybe, and trying to get the same sound, then you can sound much more English, and people will understand you, and you will understand people very much better. Yeah? Is that a nice idea?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Great. So try to do that with every phrase that you hear and see what happens.
Thank you.
Great, great. All right. So do we have a last volunteer, or does anyone else want to follow Martina?
I can do the
person to follow. Giulio, is that you?
I can do the next one, yes.
Great, great. Go ahead.
Can you see it?
No. Yes.
Okay.
In Hamlet, the prince envisions himself as a king. Envisions himself as a king of infinite space.
This is a very academic word.
But the first. Yes. Okay.
Brilliant. Yeah.
As a king of infinite space. Of infinite space.
Great. So shall we all do the shadowing? While you can speak very low if you want, if you don't want me to hear. But Giulio, if you can play this 3 or 4 times, and we will all try to shadow until we are using the correct rhythm all together, yeah? So play it once and then again and again, and we will shadow the sound. Okay.
Okay.
Everyone.
In Hamlet, the prince envisions himself as a king of infinite space.
That came out really quickly. I don't know why. Okay, do it again.